So welcome to the Strengthening Democracy Awards 2024. Please join me in welcoming, thank you. Please join me in welcoming Civic Nebraska's Executive Director, Adam Morfeld, to the stage to say a few words for everyone as we begin. Adam?
Well, good evening, everybody. Are we ready to celebrate democracy tonight? It's not always in vogue right now, so I think we have to celebrate it here. But welcome to the 2024 Strengthening Democracy Awards. I see many familiar faces in the audience, and I just want to say I am so grateful for all of your support over the last 16 years of Civic Nebraska's mission. And for those that might be new to us tonight and who are quite frankly just learning now about our mission, I just want to say welcome aboard. And I hope that you stay engaged and involved in the organization the same way that so many in here have for many years. So we're so glad that everybody is here tonight to celebrate in this really cool venue, by the way. Who is this like your first time here? How many people? Show of hands. Yeah, isn't this cool? So it's a great spot. I'm really glad that we're here tonight. At Civic Nebraska, we try to support a bunch of different organizations, including the university, and being here tonight is a real treat. So my name is Adam Morfeld. I'm the Executive Director and founder of Civic Nebraska. And since 2008, you can clap if you want. I've done most receptions. We have created a more modern, robust democracy for all Nebraskans. And through the years, the Strengthening Democracy Awards has honored Nebraskans who do everyday work on behalf of democracy. And the wonderful thing about this award ceremony is that almost everybody that we tell that they are being recognized, they're like, wait, why me? Like, why am I being recognized for this? And so that's the really unique part about our awards, is that we know that, quite frankly, everyday democracy is built from the ground up. That means that many everyday acts on its behalf go unnoticed. And we want to recognize the folks that do those acts, and that's what tonight is all about. And that's why Civic Nebraska lifts up these civic advocates through our voting rights, civic health, youth civic leadership initiatives, and that we hope that by celebrating their vigilance, innovation, and persistence, that others will be inspired to join, serve, and act. So, the elephant in the room is that I made a bittersweet announcement that this week I'm departing from Civic Nebraska on August 1st, after 16 years. And I'll be honest with all of you, it was not a decision made lightly. Civic Nebraska has never been just a job for me. It's been a passion, it's been a mission, it's been a vision, and more importantly, it's been a family of people that I've come to deeply admire, care about, and respect. And that family includes all of you. Ultimately, I was offered and accepted a position to expand our pro-democracy infrastructure in our state and take it to a whole new level, and in ways that Civic Nebraska simply cannot. And so I will be working closely with Civic Nebraska and other pro-democracy organizations, quite frankly, anybody who knows me, day and night, for the next few years, just to do that. And just as I am excited about this opportunity and the future, I'm equally excited to see Civic Nebraska grow and thrive in ways that I could have never imagined 16 years ago in my dorm room. Harper Tinley, I don't know if there's any Harper alum. But strong and resilient organizations must move beyond their founders. And never before have we had such an incredible leadership team that is more ready for the task than we have today. Civic Nebraska has never been about one person. It has been about the collective whole and the power that we have to rise up together toward a common cause and towards common mission. So first off, with the current, and there's a ton of former staff, I see you, Amanda Barker. There's current and former staff. Would you please stand up for one moment and be recognized? Please stand up. Please stand up. Current and former staff. And I know that it's very awkward, but you keep standing here. Keep standing. Everyone that is able, please stand up too. Everybody in the room right now, please stand up. All of you. Everybody that is able. And there's a reason for this. Look around you for just one moment. You are Civic Nebraska. We are Civic Nebraska. It's more than just one person. And I know that each and every one of you are going to ensure that we create a more modern, robust democracy. And that is why I'm able to sleep at night, knowing that this transition is going to be one that is successful, and we are going to continue our mission together. So thank you. Thank you all. You can sit down now if you want. You can keep standing too. The bottom line is, everyone, I would not be leading Civic Nebraska if I did not think that we were well positioned for the transition. Our interim executive director, Kyle Cartwright, where's Kyle? There he is, right there. Our interim executive director, Kyle Cartwright, has guided countless nonprofits through transition and previously served as the executive director of the Nebraska Cultural Endowment. So please help support, give Kyle a round of applause. But the amazing thing is that Kyle not only has an incredible leadership team to help support him, but an incredible team of people across the state working every single day to strengthen our democracy and work with our communities. So we're not only in a good position, both leadership-wise, but also financially because of all of your support, because I mean, let's just face it, Sarah Walker's great at managing our investments, and then also, you know, the leadership and stewardship of our board as well. And so I want to thank you for all of your steady support and trust in our mission, and for lifting up Civic Nebraska to such great heights. Our democracy building work has never been more important, and I never came to this job every single morning not feeling excited about the challenges and the opportunities ahead of us. And there's many of them, but we have overcome many of those challenges and we've turned them into opportunities. Though I may be moving on, I won't be far. And I'll forever remain a proud supporter and advocate for this essential work. And trust me, Civic Nebraska is just getting started. So let's get down to business, because there's this debate later on tonight that I know everybody wants to watch. Or some people don't, actually, let's be honest. And the other thing that Civic Nebraska is known for is ending on time. So we have 2-hour events, okay? And we're done at 7 no matter what. So in any case, no pressure to anybody speaking after me. Kyle's looking nervously at his watch. But of course, tonight would not be possible without the generous support of so many families, foundations, and organizations. And we want to thank them for their support for the Strengthening Democracy Awards. Please join me in thanking Suzanne Shore, Rhonda Seacrest, Kate and Roger Whites, Annette and Paul Smith, Art and Chris Ziegelbaum, Emeritus Life Insurance, Lynn Roper, Aloe Fiber, Oxide Design, Harbor of Dreams, and Alan Fredrickson, and as well as those other folks that wanted to remain anonymous, but we love them too. So thank you, everybody. Please give them a round of applause. Also, we have some incredible table hosts. They are on your program, so please look at those table hosts and thank them if you know them in particular. And so we really appreciate it. Okay, so anybody who has planned a large-scale event, we all know that a lot of moving pieces are there. I want to take the opportunity to really thank our 2024 Strengthening Democracy Awards fundraising committee members. And if you'd please stand and be recognized, I know who you are and I see where some of you are, so you better stand. Allison Armstrong. Allison, where are you? I'm going to wait until she stands. There's Allison. Charlene Behrens, I talked to you earlier, Charlene. Where are you, Charlene? Oh, there's Charlene right there. Johansi Christie, where's Johansi? Hey, Johansi, stand up. There you are. And then Senator John McAllister. I don't get Dean's here tonight, but thank you so much for your service and commitment to Civic Nebraska. Finally, I want to thank our team who has worked for months to bring this special evening to fruition, including these crazy like cookies that we have over there that not only has Justin's face on them, but apparently has mine. So, I think I'm being trolled, but I want to thank I want to thank Kyle Cartwright, Sarah Walker, Scott Troggy, Tanner Cano, and Steve Smith for all of your incredible work to make this happen. Really, really appreciate it. We couldn't do it without you. So this is my last time talking, but now let's move on to the awards portion of the evening to recognize the contributions of some remarkable people in this room that we bestow the Strengthening Democracy Awards to recognize many unsung heroes, to reinforce the civic fabric of our state in so many ways. But first, I would like to present a couple of awards to two legislators that work to advance key pro-democracy legislation. To do this, I'm actually going to invite up Heidi Ewing, our Director of Public Policy, to announce those awards. So Heidi, come on up.
Thanks, Adam. Hi, everyone. I'm Heidi Ewing, Public Policy Director for Civic Nebraska. The first award we'd like to bestow this evening is for a state senator responsible for introducing to the legislature an issue we find critical to our democracy: protecting elections from being thwarted by misinformation. The onset of artificial intelligence has created new challenges for our electoral process, in that video and images can now be used very convincingly to misrepresent public officials. Senator Elliot Bostar responded by introducing LB 1390 to prevent the use of technology to mislead the public about details about coming elections. And at the request of the chair of the Government Committee, Civic Nebraska will now be hosting a joint summit of the Government and Judiciary Committees this fall that will further hone legislation to protect our elections from this threat. So we'd like to thank you, Senator Bostar, for bringing this controversial issue forward with Nebraska legislation.
I would just like to note that the eagle and the flag was not a mistake. I wanted to make sure that we also own the eagle and flag too.
Thank you, Heidi. And I was told that I didn't have to actually say anything. So I immediately, yes, so I'm going to anyway. I'm humbled by the award, and I'm always proud to do work with Civic Nebraska. Civic Nebraska represents some of the most important work we can do, because without a strong and robust democracy, there really is no other kind of policy creation that we can do. And so, thank you, genuinely, both of you. But really, I want to say that with Adam's departure, it's noteworthy. This whole organization is an incredible creation. I mean, look around this room, and the years of work that went into it. I've known Adam for over 10 years now. And I don't know all of what went into creating this, but I know a lot. And I just really want to say also thank you to Adam, and thank you to everyone at Civic Nebraska for what you've done, what you've created. I know Civic Nebraska will continue to go on and be incredibly strong and important and grow. And I know Adam will go on and continue this important work and do great things, but it is also sad. And so I just wanted to take a moment to thank you, Adam, for everything you put into this. And the state wouldn't be the same if you hadn't done everything you've done. So thank you very much.
So, in addition, we also were not able to have Senator Justin Wayne here tonight, but next we're honoring Senator Justin Wayne, and I think it's important that we recognize him for the vigilance in restoring the vote for thousands of Nebraskans. Senator Wayne first sponsored a bill in 2017 that would eliminate the arbitrary 2-year waiting period for justice to impact Nebraskans. But the governor vetoed that bill. I was there, and the legislature unfortunately fell short in overriding it. Since then, Senator Wayne has continued to bring this issue to the body. He introduced LB 20 last year. It passed by the legislature by an overwhelming margin. It is now set to take effect on July 19th. This is an incredible and long overdue restoration of civil rights for more than 7,000 veterans. Many people in this room that helped make that possible and make that happen, and that's going to have a huge difference in future elections and making sure that everyone has a voice in our state. The bill's strong support is a testament to Senator Wayne's relationship building and hard work to persuade and educate his colleagues on this important issue. Many senators said during the debate on the bill that their minds had been changed as they learned more about the unfairness of the state parole system, which they no longer considered to be suitable way for Nebraskans to have their voting rights restored. Senator Justin Wayne is awarded Civic Nebraska's Distinguished Achievement Award for his tenacity and perseverance in seeing thousands of voters in Nebraska being able to have their rights restored. So, please welcome him. So, with that, please raise your glasses to State Senators Elliot Bosar and Justin Wayne. And now we're going to move on here for the special recognition. And I think, gonna make sure that I get to the right thing here. There we go. And I think Steve Smith's next up. There we are.
Hello, friends. I'm gonna make a big popping noise here. Forgive me. Oh, that was good. Thanks, Benny. I'm Steve Smith. I am the Director of Communications at Civic Nebraska. Oh, what a good-looking crowd.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah Walker. I'm the Director of Operations. Is everyone ready to meet our honorees?
Strengthening Democracy Awards embody the grassroots, on-the-ground spirit of building up our, as we say, small d democratic way of life. And as we know, and as Adam has said, it takes everyone to truly create a modern and robust democracy.
Tonight, we're celebrating that self-evident truth. Our 2024 Strengthening Democracy honorees are students, they're teachers, they are our neighbors, our advocates, our activists, whose names don't necessarily make headlines. Strengthening Democracy Awards honors those who may otherwise go unnoticed in their efforts, big and small, that fortify the fabric of our shared civic life. Tonight, we've asked those good folks who have nominated winners to share some remarks about why each nominee is so special. And if the winners wish to say a few words, well, they're welcome to do so.
So without further ado, we have our first Strengthening Democracy honoree of the evening. It is our 2024 Community Builder, and I'd like to ask our first nominated to take the mic. Gloria, the floor is yours.
Thank you. It's always fun when you get the phone call the night before that says, hey, our ramp isn't quite. Can you do that? So, good evening. My name is Gloria. I am nominated. Let me get my phone to figure out which direction it wants to be. Doesn't want to now, of course. There we go. And it is my pleasure to introduce our first honoree, Bob Reeves. I nominated Bob Reeves for the Community Builder Award. Bob is one of the longest serving members of the Clinton Neighborhood Organization, and he serves as our secretary. I met Bob when I moved to Clinton Neighborhood in 1993. Don't do the math. The neighborhood was having a cleanup, and there was a dumpster on our street. How do you avoid a dumpster? We took some stuff over to it, and Bob was there. He talked all about the neighborhood organization, and even as a renter, we could join, which caused us to be one of the few, maybe only, renters on the board. Bob was always there. He respected my viewpoint as a young renter in a temporary home looking to move on. He helped me fall in love with my neighborhood and see it as a place I wanted to be instead of that temporary home. He taught me I could take pride in it, even as a renter. 3 decades later, Bob is still doing what Bob does. I bought a home in Clinton neighborhood, the same neighborhood Bob helped me fall in love with all those years ago. We are still on the Clinton Neighborhood Organization board together. Bob isn't one that wants to lead the group. He is perfectly fine being secretary. He doesn't need a lot of praise. In fact, gave me a fair amount of guff when hearing of this award. He isn't always the loudest voice in the room. He allows me to be the loud one. I have learned those are some of the most important people to have in your group. How many times have I sat in with a group of leaders and the moderator asked for a volunteer to take the minutes? Not I always think in my head. I do not take minutes. Bob does. As neighborhood organizations across the community fade and struggle to keep members, it is people like Bob that keep ours going. He is there every single month without complaint. He shows up to every activity we have and helps. He has thrown more tires than any of us at cleanups. If you have not been to a Clinton cleanup, we throw tires on trees. He has hosted neighborhood barbecues. He has gone door knocking. He has coordinated a newsletter for decades. He has done history walks, has manned booths for school functions to party in the parks. From ice cream social to parking lot sales, Bob has been there. The Bobs in our community are the backbone of these grassroots neighborhood organizations. He truly wants everyone to be a champion as he quietly takes the minutes yet again. For those and the countless other ways that Bob Reeves and his wife Mary make Clinton neighborhood a great place to live, work, and play, I am honored to recognize Bob Reeves as the 2024 Community Builder. Bob,
Yeah, she says I don't like to say things, and I don't really, but I just couldn't resist to take an opportunity to thank everybody involved with this, and especially Gloria, because I don't know, I was just shocked about this. But anyhow, I do. You could hold it for a second. I got a little something that I wanted to say, and I'll condense it as much as I can about just a plug for neighborhoods. Because I agree with what Gloria said, that we are having less support for neighborhood organizations, and I guess it's because there's just too many people who don't join things anyway. And so that's part of what's happening. But I think neighborhood organizations are extremely important. And I just want to say that, well, the story of when Mary Lou and I first came into the neighborhood in 1979, one of the first things we did was to join Clinton Neighborhood Organization, and we've been involved ever since. The reason we joined was just because, maybe this needs to be closer, the reason we joined was just because we wanted to meet people. We wanted to be part of the neighborhood. But right away, we got involved in this campaign that was going on to kill this 4-lane freeway that was going to be built through our neighborhood. And so we just got wrapped up in that right away. And I got impressed with how everybody in the neighborhood was pitching in to help with this effort. And not only that, but we were working with 4 other neighborhood organizations that were involved in doing this because the city was going to build this big freeway that was going to destroy parts of all our neighborhoods. Well, after we got that defeated, then we spent probably most of a decade helping work on what to do with the land that had been damaged by the city. And what resulted was what's now called the Dietrich Bike Trail. It goes through the all those neighborhoods. And that along with that and new housing and new businesses that went in, it really made a big difference. Well, anyway, we've had a lot of battles over the years in the neighborhood, and we won a few and lost a few, but we keep on plugging away. But another one I wanted to just talk about was we're very, very, very indebted to the NeighborWorks organization for all they've done for us. I remember a few years ago, through NeighborWorks helping us, we had what we call problem property potlucks. And what we would do is, this happened in Clinton, Malone and Hartley neighborhoods. We would go to the front yard of a house that was abandoned or dilapidated, and we would have a neighborhood get-together. We had these very enjoyable cookouts and socializing, but it was also drawing attention to these problem properties. And as a result of that, all the ones we had identified either got torn down and replaced by brand new, well-built homes, or were totally rehabilitated into something. We got rid of these pieces of property that were homes for raccoons and so forth. So anyway, just to end up, my main point is that a lot of these things came about because one neighborhood organization got involved with other neighborhood organizations and other organizations, civic organizations in the city, and we all work together to get things done. When neighbors get together, they build community and can have a stronger voice than they do as individuals. And when neighborhoods get together, they can make a much greater impact. And I'm thankful for local government that usually responds to our neighborhood concerns. And whenever a number of neighborhoods show up at a city council meeting, I know that has an impact. So I would just like to say, I wish I could share this award with everyone in the city who has volunteered to be part of a neighborhood association, and I hope that the neighborhood associations will keep going. I think they're a vital part of what keeps democracy strong in our city. Thanks.
I hit it down too.
A good night.
There you go, thanks.
Thank you, Gloria and Bob. That was amazing. Hi, everyone. My name is Nancy Petito, and I am the Senior Director of Programs at Civic Nebraska. I almost said Civic Health Director. Tonight, I have the honor of presenting the 2024 Civic Catalyst Award to Juan Carlos Huertas of Lincoln. Juan Carlos has partnered with many individuals and local organizations, including Civic Nebraska, in the past few years to explore approaches to civil discourse in our communities. Juan Carlos, who is the Minister of Proclamation and Practice of Justice at First Plymouth Church, recognizes the need to bring community members together to have difficult conversations that ultimately are going to get us back to a place of connection and understanding. And he does it, too, in consistent and innovative ways, bringing together ideologies from his faith while incorporating a concept that we at Civic Nebraska call civic health. If you know me, we've talked about this in depth. That means confidence in our institutions, social connection, political involvement, and community engagement. Recently, Juan Carlos invited a group of partners, including Civic Nebraska, to join in a lecture series that featured author and researcher Donna Hicks, whose work focuses on the role of dignity in bridging divides. In early May, we were pleased to join the hundreds of Nebraskans who welcomed Dr. Hicks and learned about the essential elements, origins, and myths about the concept of dignity, especially in the context of having difficult conversations with family, friends, loved ones, and even the strangers with whom we disagree. In specific, Juan Carlos reached out to me and asked if we would co-host a pair of listening sessions in the weeks before and after Dr. Hicks's appearance in Lincoln, so we could really go deeper in our understanding and connect the elements of civic health with the power of dignity. Juan Carlos said he thought of us because our organization had established strong ties with Lincoln residents through our neighborhood building work. Together, we brainstormed how to connect those civic health concepts with those neighbors. He helped develop and realize the nuance that comes along with these often very nebulous topics. Of course, being a civic catalyst isn't just about organizing events, even the ones that are so thoughtful and powerful as the Dignity series. Juan Carlos is also a regular participant on several community panels. He shares his experiences and expertise in how to successfully practice civil discourse, especially when confronted by those whose beliefs may assault our sensibilities. He does this by emphasizing our shared humanity and the notion that we are all much more alike than we are different. Juan Carlos also always pursues new avenues to connect Lincoln's faith community to civic life. I saw him shaking so many hands and giving so many hugs to people in this room, so it's very evident that that is real. But he also brings this down-to-earth approach. He recognizes and empathizes with the barriers that uncomfortable conversations may pose for many of us. His approach to this work is unique and one that involves so many good faith ways to bring as many people to the table as possible. Juan Carlos, we're so glad that you and your family chose to come to Lincoln. In just a few short years, you've become a bright light for others to follow. May we all follow your powerful example of building one another up, not tearing one another down. It's my honor to present you with the 2024 Civic Catalyst Award.
Never give a preacher a microphone.
It is exciting to be with you, so I'm so honored. I told Nancy, really, forget the award, let's get to work. Let's keep on building community, let's go on building kinship. Kinship is practiced. It requires a shared effort. It requires communities to reach deeper into their networks that are already there, our local schools and our little clubs in the neighborhood. I'm a near South resident, and so it requires neighborhood associations, and it requires congregations and other faith communities, and then together we can do this together. It's us. And we can't wait for someone else to do it on our behalf. We're gonna have to do it here each and every day together. So I told Nancy that this was gonna cost her because we're just getting started. But I'm thankful for communities like First Plymouth Church. There are many congregations in this city, and I hope that we as congregations and as faith communities can get down together, shake the hands of our neighbor, and model for one another what this civic life looks like. And I have a hunch that if we do that together, it will transform everything. Cannot wait. We're just getting started.
Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Crook, and I have the honor tonight of introducing some very special people. Edge Nebraska City, an organization represented here tonight by two of its top people that do everything, and one who couldn't be here tonight. Their names are Stacey Higgins, Teresa Albers, and Sue Little. They're an incredible example of advancing learning as an act of civic engagement. So in 2016, an informal group that included two of these three people began discussing different trends in Nebraska City, both good and not so good. And one that stood out was the poverty rate in Nebraska City and surrounding areas. EDGE, which stands for Engage, Discover, Grow, Embark, was born to address this very issue. This group's goal is to reduce local poverty rates significantly by the middle of the next decade. How, you say? Through literacy, through parent engagement, by meaningfully connecting students to their community, and via durable relationship building across Nebraska City. So let me tell you a little bit about EDGE. It began with something called Book Besties, which focused on pre-K through second grade. Students are given a book each month, and more than 20 community volunteers, they're book besties, they call them. And I heard lately that one little boy said, when I grow up, I want to be a book bestie. Anyhow, they read with them in their classrooms. The program reaches 430 students every month, and in May, it awarded their 20,000th book. So the program's been so successful that EDGE has gone deeper into its engagement, launching Early EDGE, which gives a book and a QR code with bilingual literacy tools to each new baby at the local hospital. And at Kindergarten Roundup, each new kindergartner gets a free backpack with literacy tools inside. And for third graders, there's the Super Citizen program. Students learn about a historic person, and then they meet a local super citizen of their own. And then as fourth graders, the youth take a local service project, and they get a city library card. EDGE's newest program is called Money Managers, which explains financial literacy to fifth graders. The program's Banking Buddies, and I'm sure there's going to be some of those who want to be banking buddies in the future. They work with students to impart lessons of earning, saving, spending, and sharing. This is just another example of the community volunteers who make this program so successful. Simply put, EDGE allows Nebraska City to try on the world before they go out into it. It sparks their creativity, their imagination, and intellectual growth. EDGE helps prepare children for their next stage of maturity and eventually the grown-up world. For this and for the hours upon hours of engineering, coordinating, and perpetuating an invaluable local resource, and for those community members to engage with those kids as well. EDGE Nebraska City is the champion of learning for 2024. So come on up here, ladies, and be excited.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but we don't want to be that group that didn't say anything. I'm Stacey Higgins. This is Teresa Albers. First of all, Teresa Albers has touched every one of those 20,000 books. So we don't take a salary for this work. We just believe deeply in this. The name EDGE comes from my late husband's screensaver on his phone, and it said, "Life begins at the edge of your comfort zone." I know we've seen that slogan out there. For him, it meant that doing wild things like triathlons and that. For us, it means just getting uncomfortable doing things that matter. And I see so much of that in what's being celebrated tonight in Lincoln. I want you Lincoln citizens to know that the Nebraska City Drive gets shorter and shorter, and we always need volunteers. You can be there in like 47 minutes. So we welcome you to come down, but I love celebrating things that started at the kitchen table, started in the neighborhood driveway. That's how it started for us, and we're just so pleased to be part of such a great celebration. Thank you.
everyone, my name is Cheyenne Hartshorn and I teach at Lincoln Northeast High School.
And I'm Melinda Jean Baptiste. I'm a Rocket, the town counseling team leader at Northeast High School. Over the past 3 years, Cheyenne and I have had a front row seat as Chloe Patzloff has grown in her advocacy, activism, and leadership. Not only in her school, but in her community and on behalf of the youth of the state of Nebraska.
Chloe is one of the most motivated and politically minded young women that I have ever taught. I've spent hours a day with Chloe in my classroom. She seeks every opportunity she can to learn from and involve herself in the democratic process. As a freshman, we were planning an end-of-the-year field trip to the Capitol, and Chloe decided that she wanted the mayor to come to the Capitol and speak to our students. And so she reached out to the mayor and did not take no for an answer. And the mayor came for the very first time. She asked the mayor to come because she wanted to give herself and her classmates the opportunity to speak with the mayor about things we had learned in class, about gentrification and food deserts, with somebody that can provoke change and creates change. Chloe is also a regular testifier at the state capitol. That's really kind of her part-time job. She has made her voice known at most of the public hearings regarding women's issues and the LGBTQ+ community over the past couple of years. Chloe not only attends public hearing, but she reaches out to elected officials via email. She's constantly making phone calls. She's asking for meetings. She writes the newspaper. I think you've ever been published, but she writes to the newspaper all the time. To advocate for the rights of the underrepresented and the vulnerable in our community and our state. She even job shadowed this past year as state senator because even as a high school student, she knows that someday she plans to run for public office.
Just her free time. Of course, she has school still, and in school, she's an active member of the student council, really a voice for a lot of students, and really looking for those marginalized students in our school. She demonstrates leadership and a deep commitment to service. And most of all, she listens actively, communicates effectively, and collaborates with students across the building. I've seen this firsthand. She's one of my student mediators, and is probably one of the finest student mediators I've had the pleasure of training and working with. She impresses adults when they sit down to mediation and they leave and they say, I didn't think I was going to learn something. But she's a kid that's also taught me something too. I had my first opportunity to testify a couple of times. I called her in my office and said, give me your secrets because you know them. And it's been really helpful to really bounce things off and know while we're still teacher-student relationship, she truly is a colleague in some ways in terms of that inner and outer of school community. And she also has led several action projects in the Feminist Club, making sure that we have access to personal hygiene products in well-traveled areas of school, which has been a huge thing. It's just a massive improvement to Northeast.
Chloe's dedication and passion for our shared civic life sets her apart from other students. Chloe speaks publicly and openly about civic topics that she's passionate about and that concerns her. She speaks her mind because well-behaved women rarely make history. System to provoke change in our high school. She is always in our administrator's office provoking change in our community and in our state. So Chloe, you are Nebraska's Young Civic Leader for 2024, and we could not be more proud of you.
I have a feeling they want to.
Hi everyone, good evening, and congratulations to all of the other honorees tonight. I did my research a little bit, and what we are doing in our community is so impressive. Making change little by little has such a big impact, and I'm so honored to be grouped in with this special group of people. I'm so shocked, and I'm very, very happy to be here. The Feminist Club is still my proudest achievement, no matter how things go in my life, because of the impact it has made working with Cheyenne the past 3 years has been truly an honor, and going into my final year of high school, I can definitely say that I learned more than what they teach you. I've learned the power of uplifting others while uplifting myself, and I have grown so much because of it. Huge thanks to Adam for being there the first time I ever had a question about how to get involved within our legislature, which prompted me to be on the front lines the past couple of years. And I cannot leave this speech without mentioning that it has been 2 years this week since Roe was overturned in the Supreme Court. And, that was a hard summer. And the session following that was even harder. But we continue, we persevere, and we keep fighting for the rights of our women and for everyone. Thank you.
Chloe forgot to drop the mic. Wow. Sorry, I'm just a little blown away by that. My name's Steve Smith. You met me already. I won't get into that. I'm spun around. Our final honor tonight, folks, is the Jan Gradwell Memorial Defender of Democracy Award. Many of you in this room knew the Honorable Jan Gradwell. She was a fierce advocate for democracy and inclusion and justice. She was the first female judge in Lancaster County and just the fourth in the state upon her appointment to the bench in 1974. During her long and distinguished career, Judge Gradwell was dedicated to judicial system improvement and equal justice. She was a founding member of the International Association of Women Judges, which works to increase the number of women judges and promotes equal justice for women and girls around the world. Judge Gradwell was also a dedicated supporter of Civic Nebraska, and she regularly volunteered her time and expertise in our election protection program on election days. Judge Gradwell's legacy lives on in so many of us, that is for certain. Our awardee, and one person in particular, our awardee this year is Brad Christian-Sallis. He's a remarkable leader. He's an advocate for voting rights and civic engagement in Nebraska. I have many memories of working with Brad on election day and the hustle he brought to that election protection program. And some of my favorite memories of Civic Nebraska are sitting near the water cooler talking about Star Wars with Brad. But that's not what we're up here to talk about. Brad's early days as an organizer included his efforts on the Retain a Just Nebraska campaign in 2016, where he fought to uphold the legislature's repeal of the death penalty. His passion for social justice was evident then, and it's only grown, hasn't it, folks? Whether working on local campaigns or statewide ballot initiatives, Brad's dedication to making a difference is clear. His approach to movement building, it's innovative, it's data-driven, but it's also people-driven. He's always staying ahead of the curve in a rapidly changing field. Any community organizers out there know exactly what I'm talking about. He has a unique ability to connect with people from all walks of life, forging alliances and empowering communities to take action. Brad's relentless dedication to justice and equity and democracy serves as an inspiration to all who know him. So right now I'd like to invite Jan's daughter, Anne, to the podium for a few more words about Brad.
Hello, I'm Anne Gradwell, and I'm here here with another Jan Gradwell lookalike, my sister Jill Gradwell. 2008, what a year. It was a significant year for our country, for this organization, and for our mother, Jan Gradwell. Jan was a retired judge whose status would have allowed her to hear cases on assignment in jurisdictions in need of an on-call judge. In 2008, though, Jan relinquished that status to do something she had not done in the many years she was on the bench. She wanted to openly support a presidential candidate, a young constitutional law professor who was serving in the US Senate. And she wanted to do something our family had not done with a judge in the household. She wanted to have a tangible sign of her support for her candidate visible outside her home. She wanted a yard sign. It was also 2008 when Jan and her dad John started closely following the work of student organizers who were operating out of a dorm room to create Nebraskans for Civic Reform. On November 4th, 2008, Jan was one of the volunteer lawyers in Omaha. For subsequent elections, she was one of the lawyers helping to field calls at the offices of Nebraskans for Civic Reform and later Civic Nebraska. There, she got to know many of you and your work. With you, she developed the meaningful connections that are forged during long days of hard work. Brad, this was certainly true of Jan's collaborations with you on election day. During the pandemic, Jan continued to study election issues. What she couldn't do in person, she simply did online. She attended virtually events from coast to coast, including weekly news briefings of Washington Post editors and reporters, lectures, and book launches. As Jan's eyesight changed and it became more difficult for her to read, we began to read aloud, which I would characterize as the best book club ever. For the launch of former Attorney General Eric Holder's book, Our Unfinished March, The Violent Past and Imperiled Future of the Vote, we attended an event through a San Francisco bookstore for which Jelani Cobb interviewed Mr. Holder. Brad, in recognition of your work to defend democracy, our family would like to give you Jan's copy of Our Unfinished March, which was signed by Mr. Holder.
And thank you so much. Jill, thank you as well. My bad. Yes, thank you so much, y'all. I'm gonna keep it short. I've been part of Nebraskans for Civic Reform and Civic Nebraska, and I know if this thing don't end on time for Adam's last one, we got to do that for him. It's gonna end on time for a while. But I do just want to say a few pieces. First of all, my mom is here. Thank you, Mom. Mom, stand up. My mom is the reason I organize. As a kid, whenever I would misbehave, she would make me write essays on different civil rights leaders. And I got in a lot of trouble, so I wrote a lot of essays. And that was really where my love of organizing began, and where I just fell in love with the idea of democracy and people power and liberation. And then that love took another step, and I became more invested when I joined Civic Nebraska, when it was then known as Nebraskans for Civic Reform, and I met Jan. And Ann and Jill, your mother had such a huge impact on me. I always talk about my mom making me write those essays, and I hated it at the time, and I love it now. But Jan was one of the first folks I met, and I was like, I'm not just like reading a story or writing an essay. This is someone who has like done it and is still doing it. And I will say to everyone in this room, I need everybody to step it up. Jan never missed an election. She was always there for us to do election protection. We need a lot of folks to be doing election protection, be doing a lot of work this election. Y'all helped me in honoring Jan by showing up this election, volunteering for Civic Nebraska. It's fun. The last thing I'll say is, on the back of your program is some things. I see vote and empower, stay informed, donate to democracy, and engage with civic health. If everyone can leave today with a plan for how they're going to do each of those things, I would appreciate it so much. I know Jan would appreciate it. That's what this is about. It's about engaging in our democracy. And it takes each and every one of us. No one is going to do it for us. We got to handle it ourselves. I'm going to make sure I don't run over, but I just want to say thank y'all. Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Jill. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you.
Every year, I think that the people we award couldn't get more special, and then every year I'm wrong. Thank you so much to our awardees. Please, one more round of applause for our strengthening democracy award winners. It is my great pleasure and frankly honor to introduce our very special speaker tonight, one of the very exciting young people that I hope that you got to shake his hand tonight. And share, impart just a little of the wisdom that he gives out so just generously. Did y'all know he was born in 1995? Oh my gosh. Go think about your 5-year plan now. Okay, y'all. Tennessee State Representative Justin J. Pearson of Memphis was first elected in 2023. The same year he was expelled along with 2 other colleagues after they conducted a protest on the floor of their house for gun control legislation. The protests followed a mass shooting that killed 6 people at a school in Nashville. Days later, the local government panels in Memphis and Nashville reinstated, quote, the Tennessee 3 as they became known. And last August, Memphis voters overwhelmingly re-elected Mr. Pearson to his seat. Let's recognize Mr. Pearson also co-founded a grassroots group that has helped defeat a crude oil pipeline project that could jeopardize his city's drinking water and has taken property from residents. He was chosen as the 2023 National Changemaker of the Year, very casual, by the Sierra Club. And then the Root included him as on the list of 100 most influential Black Americans in 2023. spend little tokens of time all day together with Representative Pearson and his fantastic fiance, and I am so happy for y'all to get to see him tonight. Friends, please join me in giving the Honorable Justin J. Pearson a loud and proud Nebraska welcome.
Thank you. I'm the son of a black preacher. But I know y'all got a time limit. And I ain't gonna mess up the streak y'all had. But I do got a couple of words to share with you. And then I'll be back into my seat. In District 86, whenever I get the opportunity to speak, we got a saying. I say, who fired up? And then the entire district shouts, we fired up. You ready? Who fired up? We fired up. Who fired up? We fired up. We fired up. We fired up. And we've got to be fired up. We've got to be fired up for change. We've got to be fired up for justice. We've got to be fired up for our future generations. We've got to be fired up for our faith in this democracy. We've got to be fired up. And I'm glad to be here fired up in Nebraska with each and every one of you. To all the staff who made this event possible, to all the waiters, to all the chefs who made this delicious food, let's give them a round of applause. Somebody will stand on their feet. Somebody stand on your feet and give them a round of applause. Working class folk, doing the work to make fancy events like this possible. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. To Adam for your generosity and your leadership at this amazing organization for 16 years, 15, almost 16 years. For the opportunity to be here, I thank you, and to talk with you about the future of Nebraska and the amazing present that you have been a part of creating. Thank you. And for what you're getting ready to do, because you're just getting started. I am excited to watch and to witness along with everyone else. To all of those who have made investments and continue to make investments in this organization, who continue to believe that it is necessary to invest in leaders in this state, especially young leaders, especially black leaders and indigenous leaders and communities that have been underrepresented and underinvested in. Thank you. That's the type of work that is necessary. We gotta have a diverse group of people run for office because we need diverse perspectives, but don't just have them run, support them. And it's important that we put our money where our heart is and support leaders who believe in civics and who believe in the preservation of democracy. And so let us do that work as well. To our friend, I got a lot of thank you. Sarah's been the best person. Sarah, where you at? Sarah's been amazing for Rosemary and I. Thank you so much. To Jane and to Scott, my family, Shannon and Stephanie, who's about to be an elected official. Congratulations. We still get in good trouble. Precious from here to Memphis, Tennessee. And I am glad to be doing this work together. To my district, District 86, our Civic Tennessee organization, the Shelby County Voter Alliance, my beautiful family, my extraordinary, wonderful, fantabulous best friend in the entire galaxy and universe that has ever been created by God, who creates all things and does all things well. To my fiance and one of my life, William, each day gets better with you. And I am so grateful to grow with you and to celebrate in opportunities like this alongside you. And to all of you amazing leaders who have been recognized today, who in the church, we would say you already preached the sermon, and the work that you have done, you have taught us a very important lesson, that hope is in our hands. And it is on that note, in the few moments that are mine with yours, that I would like to discuss the hope for our democracy. I'll put my watch on this podium so that I don't go over time. There's this old joke that a black preacher took his watch off. He put it on the podium. A young boy asked his daddy, what does that mean? And his daddy looked at him and said, absolutely nothing. But today I will try to keep us on time. I believe that our democracy, I'm gonna scoot this over if that's okay.
I believe that our democracy is our greatest hope and our best faith in creating the transformation that we know our society requires if we are ever going to live up to the principles and the ideals that we have espoused as a nation. Now, I do understand that this is quite complicated to believe in such a time as this. Our democracy seems not to be won by the voices of the people, but by corporations and corporate interests that seemingly can buy elections, as they did in New York against Congressman Jamal Bowman, who was a fierce advocate on behalf of the Palestinian people against the Netanyahu regime's killing of innocent children and women and men and their starvation as well. And PAC spent $20 million against him in the most expensive house race in United States history. It can seem quite complicated when authoritarian regimes in our states seem to win against what is right. I understand that it seems quite impossible for democracy to be our hope and our faith and the place where we need to place our faith when a convicted felon with 34 counts and a known domestic terrorist whose actions led to the death of law enforcement officers and the wounding of hundreds of people on January 6th, who is a white supremacist who has built his political career on othering immigrants with chance of building a wall and supporting white patriarchy with chance of lock her up while he committed crimes, in reality is now a person, the first person who has ever run for president as a convicted felon. It's hard to believe in democracy and have faith in democracy when our constitutional democratic republic's experiment is daily under siege by people who do not care that those who would best represent their communities, the more diverse communities, are not viewed as important. It is hard to believe in democracy when our cities, our state, our country continues to disinvest and ignore the people and the leaders who are in the positions of power by refusing to put their social resources or their financial resources to lift up our communities and the leaders in them. Archbishop Desmond Tutu said this: if you choose neutrality, you side with the oppressors. And y'all, it feels like we are in a moment where many side with the oppressors during the erosion and the destruction of democratic institutions upon which we rely for our nation's survival. It's a worrisome time when the Supreme Court, as Chloe mentioned, takes away a woman's constitutional right to choose. It's a scary time when affirmative action, which has historically benefited white women more than anyone else, is still taken away from the college decision process, when bump stocks, which are used in mass shootings in our country, where gun violence is the #1 killer of children in our country, is allowed in our country. It is difficult to believe that democracy and faith in it is our greatest hope. Mountain Valley Pipeline, through an act of Congress, was pushed through against the will of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people in several different states. I do understand that it's hard to have faith now. I've seen the ugly side of democracy. Representative Jones and myself and our constituents and our families lost their representation due to the effect of white supremacy and white patriarchy in the state of Tennessee. April 6th, the day of our expulsion, was one of the most difficult days of our lives. And it was all completely legal. It was all within the bounds of a constitution and state house rules that too often bend toward the will of the gerrymandered and prejudiced majority. Still, I have faith in democracy because evil never gets the last word. Our constituents sent us back in 94% of the vote to prove that we won't be locked out of our democracy. This lesson that our faith must be rooted in democracy is because I have faith in you. And it is U.S. It is the U.S., the us. It is the us that I believe in. For if our hope was just in institutions alone, then I would not be here, because I know what institutions that are written in white supremacy and economic exploitation and degradation can do. If it was in institutions alone that have an effect on our communities, that have people maintain their own power regardless of what the implications are for now or in the future, if my hope was in institutions alone, I could not be here.
But I believe that our hope and my hope that I'm expressing to you about democracy is not just rooted in the institutions or in any of the ideals that we hold. It's rooted in people. I have hope and I have faith in people like the amazing ones recognized today. And it is this hope and it is this faith that I hope to encourage you with. I have hope and faith that people can do what seems impossible. I have hope and I have faith in people who will speak even when they are told to be silent. I have hope and I have faith in we who fight back against the odds. I have hope and I have faith in we who give all that we can even when it hurts. I have hope and I have faith in we who get expelled and come back stronger fighting for our communities. I have hope and I have faith because here in Lincoln and in Omaha and in Hastings and in Norfolk and in Lexington, I know some people who refuse to give up or give in or bow down or be broken and be bent. I have hope and I have faith in our democracy because I know you. Our hope and our faith in democracy can't be rooted in who's president or not. It has to be rooted in the people whose names we may never know, but whose impact is quite literally changing the fabric of the future. That is why we are here today to celebrate the champions and defenders of democracy, because we must always realize, always remember that the roots and the wells of democracy upon which we rely are strong. That is not to ignore the history of this country, the paradox of a nation that would scream about liberty and freedom and justice and still commit genocide against indigenous communities and enslave African Americans. It is not to rid or to wash our country of the paradoxes, but it is to embrace that there was something more powerful than the paradoxes at work. Democracy. I'm almost done. Democracy. In Greek, you break democracy into two words, demos and kratos. Demos means people. Kratos means power. If I was in a black church, I would run around this room shouting. But I'm at Civic Nebraska and I'm trying to hold my peace. But democracy means demos, people, and kratos, power. Democracy, when you break it down in the Greek, means people power. Somebody say people power. When they work to outspend us and refuse to fund us to silence our fights, we have people power. When they decide that they don't want to pass paid leave, we have people power. When we say we need to fund public education with this new petition, we have people power. When we say we need to make medical marijuana legal, we have people power. When we say we have to enshrine healthcare rights here in Nebraska, we have people power. Yes, whenever they try and pass laws that try and silence and try and hurt and try and relegate and try and separate and try and segregate, we always get to stand up and say, you might have a lot of money or a lot of influence, but we've got people power. Let me rush to the end here. The billionaires, they can buy Twitter and the Washington Post and any other post. They can even buy Supreme Court justices. They can buy trips to the moon and all those other things, but we must be solidly positioned on a rock called democracy. It is our people power. It is our democracy that is our strength, and we cannot lose it. There will always be these people who try to destroy it, but we in our souls have to remember that it is our strength, because it is our hope. And the truth of the matter is, it's more of us. It is more of us who believe in democracy. It is more of us who believe in the transcendence of a movement for justice rooted in love, a movement that is for everybody. Our tent for democracy must include all people. Not just one party or one people, but it's got to be big enough for everybody. Somebody say everybody. It's got to be big enough for everybody. And when I say everybody, I mean everybody. I mean every tall body, every short body, every skinny body, every wide body, every black body, every white body, every indigenous body, every Latino body, every Asian body, every straight body, every gay body, every queer body, every trans body, every two-spirit body. I mean everybody, every wealthy body, every poor body, every struggling body, every rural body, every urban body, every suburban body. I mean everybody. Everybody we agree with, everybody we don't agree with. There's got to be plenty of room in this democracy for everybody. the paradox of American democracy is not lost on me. But what I have realized in talking to some of the founders, black founders, white founders of this country, the indigenous founders, the people who've been relegated to the past, is that the power of democracy has been in its power to usurp the status quo. Again, I wish I was at church. Thank you. Thank you. You see, I'm trying to hold my peace. I'm trying to hold my peace. I gotta get out of here. My time is short. But I wish I had the time. But the power of democracy, people power, its power is because it usurps the status quo. Come on, Justin. Okay, the defenders of democracy, and the angelic dissenters to the status quo, they have fought in order to create and shape a reality rooted in the ideals of a country. Even those who are considered 3/5 of a person, my ancestors who are in this country, fought to make the ideals of America more real. I don't know if you know this, but in the Declaration of Independence, there's these amazing words. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all people, I'm going to change it, are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Somebody wrote it thinking they were just talking about rich white men, but then some other folk got it. Some black folk got it, and some women got it, and some poor folk got it. And said, wait a second, I hold these truths to believe that I have created equal and endowed by the Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. I get access to the ideals and the beliefs in democracy, and not just the ideal, but the work to make it a reality. This is what defenders of democracy and angelic dissenters to the status quo do. And because our amazing leaders here who are being recognized today have shown us this in action, because you have decided to use your God hands and your God feet and your God heart, you have shaped and reshaped the world that we are living in today and into tomorrow. But this is all of our work, to find and to do what we can with these hands, with these hearts, with these minds, to persevere and to preserve one of the greatest human social experiments that has been created through pain and terror and horror and yet beauty. It is to preserve this American constitutional democratic republic experiment. It is worth it. There are petitions that need to be signed in Nebraska. There's so much more on the ballot than just a president and a vice president. Terrell's on the ballot. There's a whole lot of people who are on the ballot. To go to city council and to county commission, to go to mayor's offices, to go to Lincoln if you live around here, to put this democracy into your very hands, because that is the only hope that we have. It is our engagement. It is ours to keep, and it is ours to lose. And I'm almost done for real. And there's this thing. Ocean and I have gotten into called Hamilton. Have y'all heard about this? It's an amazing musical called Hamilton. If you haven't heard about it, Google it. It's worth it. If you need help Googling, I got you. There's a great song, and it talks about rising up. We got to rise up. And so they're coming to Memphis. Hence, we're listening to the whole album. Get ready. Right, we're getting ready. But I just love the refrain of this. That like we must rise up. Right? It is an inspiring and an emotional story that reflects back to those folks hundreds of years ago who decided to rise up, to seek to change the situation of a country that was being oppressed. People rose up 247 years ago on July 4, 1776, that's next week, to declare independence from a tyrant. I believe we've got to declare independence from tyrants. It's about time to refound our country, to refound our nation against tyrants. 60 years ago, people rose up on July 2nd to pass the Civil Rights Act. The spirit of breaking the reins of tyrants is a part of America's history. So while we must balance the paradox of what happened those 247 years ago, we cannot let the spirit that broke the chains of tyrants lose us. What cannot be denied is our claim to that spirit, just like you mentioned the claim to this flag. Y'all know I wear mine. I'm not giving the flag away to nobody. Our blood is in this. and to those who would seek to destroy liberty and justice for all, we must stand up and say, this is ours. Right here in Lincoln, in this wonderful and holy night, it is our responsibility to rise up. We must rise up. We must rise up to meet this moment with all the best of our effort to ensure that justice and liberty and equality does not perish from Nebraska or this country. That the promise of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is yet before us, an unfulfilled promise, but a possibility. We must rise up to make sure that the promises of equal justice under the law become a reality, so that the disproportionate harm against black people and poor people ceases in our criminal legal system. We must rise up to ensure that families have enough money to feed children in this state and in our country. If we've got money for bonds, we've got money for bread. We must rise up to make sure every child receives an equitable education that reminds them of who they are and their place in this American constitutional democratic republic experiment, that their place is not one to be silent or silenced, but to stand up and to speak up and to shout for everything that they believe. We must rise up for economic opportunity. We must rise up for LGBTQIA rights. We must rise up to end poverty. We must rise up for our democracy. We must rise up in order for us to create the Nebraska that we believe in. We must rise up to create the Tennessee that we believe in. We must rise up to create the Mississippi that we believe in. We must rise up to create the California that we believe in. We must rise up to make the dreams of our ancestors a reality. We must rise up to let justice that roll down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. Let us rise up and give the best of our effort. And I believe one day, many generations from now, even here in the state of Nebraska, they'll be so glad that you rose up. They'll be so glad that you stood up and spoke up, because you decided that you would not be bowed down. You would not be broken. You would not be bent. And our country will be better for it. God bless you.
Okay, now I gotta follow that. All right. That's my job right now, because, and first of all, thank you, Representative Pearson, for not remarks, not a speech, but a song. A song with a beautiful cadence, not a perfect cadence, but a playful cadence, indicating an amen and an invitation to keep going forward. So thank you, sir, for your remarks tonight, your song. Now again, we're going to ask for some grace this evening, and I'm probably going to ask you to get up, stand up, speak up as well again tonight. So we're going to break our streak. We're going to rip the sign off the wall that says we've had 30 days since incident. We're good, because we would be remiss if we did not honor someone else very special to our organization and this cause this evening. So I want to say just a few words about our founder, Adam Warfeld. As many of you know, earlier this week, we got some very bittersweet news that Adam would be stepping down from the organization as of August 1st. And as we begin to imagine a world without, he's coming over, okay. Begin to imagine a Civic Nebraska we're also overflowing with gratitude. And I'll tell you what, transitioning an organization, building an organization and transitioning it for the next generation of leadership is an impressive feat. We don't see that every day, everyone. So this is a really special moment, and we're just very grateful to you, Adam. And so for being a very important part of this organization, drafting a clear and intentional mission, positioning it for continued success. Over the last 16 years, Adam has practiced what Civic Nebraska preaches. That building a modern and robust democracy is not just about one person. It takes all of us. And that philosophy runs deep at Civic Nebraska, and I know it'll continue to run deep in the work that he goes on to do. A leader's most important role is to help their team find their respective superpowers. And we've seen this over and over again throughout the years with Adam at the helm. And it's an honor to announce that we have a new Civic Nebraska Strengthening Democracy Award this year, the Adam Morfeld Founders Award, which will be given to a Nebraskan whose achievements, whether they be over a year or a lifetime, have contributed significantly to democracy building in our state. In fact, we have, he's already preempted the next step here, we have the very first awardee of the Adam Morfeld Founders Award with us this evening. So Adam, would you come on up here?
Executive director. But I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. I want to thank all of you. Many of you have been here since the beginning, and it's been a journey, and it's one that I'm going to miss. I told myself I was not going to tear up tonight during my speech, and then we started talking about Jan Gradwell, and I kind of lost it off to the side. But the bottom line is that Civic Nebraska is so much more than just about myself and the staff that are behind me that are incredible. It's about all of you. And it's about making sure that we have a democracy that is representative, that is modern, that is robust, where everyone has a voice no matter what they're doing or where they're at in their lives. And that's the focus of Civic Nebraska. And that goes beyond more than just one person or any of us. And so I am so proud of what we've accomplished together. And I'm so proud to accomplish so much together moving forward. I'm not going away. We've had to be somewhat mysterious because my job has not been announced yet. But if you come up and talk to me personally, I'm happy to tell you what it is. So in any case, thank you guys so much. I'm going to miss you guys a lot. Thank you very much.
I'd like to invite our wonderful board chair, Attendees, to the stage to wrap up our evening. Thank you so much.
All right, there's a lot of power here because I am what's keeping you from leaving. But thanks everyone. As Kyle said, my name is Omain Zabi, and I have the pleasure of being the chair of the Civic Nebraska Board of Directors. Sometimes when people ask me about Civic Nebraska, I share that it's doing the heavy lifting to protect democracy. As Adam said earlier this evening, we saw it in April with the passage of LB 20, a years-long effort to remove an arbitrary waiting period before voting rights were restored to Nebraskans who have served felony sentences. And due in part to the work of Civic Nebraska, the bill passed overwhelmingly. It was the only major voting rights bill to pass a legislature in the nation this year. And now, our team is doing the important work of reaching out to every person impacted to let them know their rights are restored because we want to get them registered to vote. This and all of our work takes time, talent, and yes, treasure. We are so grateful for your support tonight. Thanks to you all, we've raised over $65,000. And now we just have one final ask. is if you will continue to support us with a donation this evening so we can continue to spread our mission across Nebraska. Now, if you can believe it, we've made this process extremely easy for you. On each of your programs, as Brad mentioned, there's a QR code, and he stole my thunder with the... But with your smartphone, you can open your camera and scan one of those QR codes. This will take you to our donation portal. And for those of you who may not be into QR codes, you can go to our website, which is at civicnebraska.org/donate. And whether you're ready to donate at the top level, or if you'd like to choose another amount, I want to assure you that every dollar will be put back into the community to build power and to move our great state forward in meaningful ways. Thank you for your support to everyone tonight. It's been our privilege and our pleasure to host the Strengthening Democracy Awards this evening. Please feel free to stay and socialize, have a drink, and enjoy one another's company. Good night, and thank you again.